An old woman was sent to a nursing home by her children. But she left and became famous. Ella Thompson was an old woman who felt very alone. She sat by the window in her cozy living room in her small house in Maplewood, Virginia. The sunlight made pretty golden shapes on the floor. Her favorite chair, old but soft, hugged her as she looked at a family picture on the shelf. In the picture, her son James smiled big. Her daughter Lily looked shy. And her late husband Tom stood tall. It felt like those happy days were from a different life. Now, her house was so quiet, with only memories of laughter on the walls. Outside, her garden was full of bright flowers, sunflowers, lilies, and daisies. She loved her garden. It was the one thing she could care for without feeling sad. But even the pretty flowers couldn't make her loneliness go away. When the phone rang, it broke the silence. Ella's hand shook as she picked it up. "Hello?" she said, her voice soft but hopeful. "Mom, it's me, James," said a familiar voice. "James," Ella said, her heart beating fast. It had been so long since she last heard from him. "Oh, it's so good to hear your voice," she said. James sounded warm but careful. "How are you, Mom? Lily and I were just saying we should see you more. We've been so busy. But we miss you," he added. "I miss you too," Ella said, her voice breaking a little. "It's been too long since we were together. We've been thinking," James went on, "we'd love for you to move closer to us in Riverbend, Ohio. Lily and I can help you sell the house and get settled here." "What do you think?" he asked. Ella was surprised. Leave her home, the place where she raised her kids with Tom. But the idea of being near James and Lily, sharing meals and laughs, made her heart feel full. "Oh, James, that sounds wonderful," she said, tears in her eyes. "I'd love to be close to you both." "Great, I'll come this weekend to help you pack," James said, sounding relieved. When Ella hung up the phone, she looked at the family picture again. For the first time in years, her house didn't feel so empty. The week went by fast with packing and saying goodbye to her home. Ella walked through her house one last time. Her fingers touched the kitchen table where she taught Lily to make cookies. She remembered the living room where James and Tom built toy cars together. Every spot held a special memory. When James arrived, he moved quickly. He put her bags in the car without looking around much. "Ready, Mom?" he asked, his voice short. Ella nodded, her throat tight. "Ready," she said quietly, but her heart felt heavy. As they drove away, Ella watched her house disappear. The scenery changed to the new skyline of Riverbend, Ohio. The car stopped in front of a clean, light-colored building. Ella felt a little hopeful for a moment. The gardens had pretty flowers and neat benches. It looked nice. But then she looked closer. There were no signs of an apartment building. No families walking around. "This isn't your place," she said, looking at James. James paused, his hand on the car keys. His face looked tense, not like his usual happy self. "No, Mom," he said slowly, not looking at her. This is a nursing home." Ella's breath stopped for a second. "A nursing home?" she repeated, not believing her ears. "It's for the best," James said fast, his words sounding practiced. "Lily and I talked, and we think this is the right place for you. They'll take care of everything, meals, doctors, everything," he said. Ella stared at him, her chest feeling tight. Tears started to form in her eyes, making the garden outside blurry. "But I thought I'd live near you and Lily," she said, her voice shaking. "I thought we'd be a family again." "It's just for now," James said, finally looking at her. His eyes showed a little guilt. But he kept talking. "Lily and I will visit all the time," he said. "You'll love it here, Mom. They have activities and nice staff." "Love it?" Ella said, the words hurting her. How could he say that like he was helping her? The truth hit her hard. Her children didn't want her. They sold her house, used the money for themselves, and left her here. Ella's hands held her purse tightly as she tried to calm down. "So this is what it's come to," she said softly. "I raised you, gave you everything, and now you're leaving me here." James sighed, sounding annoyed. "It's not like that, Mom," he said. "You're making this harder than it needs to be. You'll be comfortable here, and Lily and I won't worry about you being alone. It's safer this way," he added. "Safer for who?" Ella asked, her voice sharp. "For you, or for me?" The air felt heavy as James got out of the car. He opened her door with a fake smile. "Let's go inside," he said. "You'll see it's nice." A friendly lady at the front desk greeted them as they walked in. Her desk had fake plants and papers talking about luxury living for seniors. Ella didn't really listen as James talked to the lady about a tour. Her eyes looked at the people in the big room nearby. Some were sleeping in wheelchairs. Others stared at a quiet TV. A few smiled as they did puzzles or knitted slowly. A nice nurse in a clean uniform came to show them around. She talked about daily activities, doctors, and good meals. It sounded perfect, but Ella felt empty inside. They took her to her new room. It was small but clean, with a bed, a dresser, and a window looking at the gardens. The walls were a soft blue, and a vase of daisies sat on the table. But it didn't feel like home at all. "This is temporary," James said again, standing at the door. He looked at his watch. "Ready to leave. Lily and I will visit soon. I promise," he said. Ella looked at him, hoping to see the son she used to know. But all she saw was a man who wanted to go. "Take care, Mom," he said, kissing her cheek quickly. Then he was gone, his footsteps fading down the hall. Ella sat on the edge of the bed, her hands together in her lap. The air conditioner hummed, and she heard soft voices in the distance. She looked out the window at the gardens, tears filling her eyes. That night, Ella couldn't sleep in the strange bed. She thought about young James, the boy who ran to her when he fell. She remembered the teenager who talked to her about his big dreams. Where did that boy go? She felt so sad and hurt. The children she loved so much, who she gave everything for, had left her behind. But as the night went on, her sadness turned into something stronger. Under all the hurt, she felt a spark of strength. She wasn't ready to disappear from her children's lives. Ella Thompson had lived a life full of love and courage. She wasn't going to let this hurt be the end of her story. By the time the sun came up, Ella knew what to do. She wouldn't stay here. She wouldn't let herself be forgotten. For the first time in years, Ella felt strong. The nursing home's gardens were peaceful in the morning. Ella sat on a metal bench, watching the sunlight shine through the trees. Birds sang, and an old couple walked together on the path. But Ella didn't feel calm. Her children's actions still hurt her. As she watched a butterfly land on a flower, she told herself she had a choice. She could stay here, waiting for visits that might never happen. Or she could take control of her life again. Ella sat up straight, her eyes strong. "I'm not finished yet," she whispered to herself. That night, after dinner, Ella sat at the desk in her room. She took out an old notebook that Tom had given her long ago. The notebook was full of her thoughts from over the years. It made her feel safe. But tonight it wasn't for remembering. It was for making a plan. She looked at her bank papers she brought from home. Ella knew she had something special, money Tom had saved for her. It wasn't a lot, but it was enough. Enough to start a new life. Enough to leave this place. Ella smiled, remembering Tom's words when he made the account. "You never know what might happen, Ella," he had said. "This is for your freedom." Those words stayed with her as she made her plan. The money was there, and she felt ready. She would leave the nursing home. She would start over. The next morning, Ella called the nursing home's office. "I want to leave," she said, her voice strong. The office lady was surprised and tried to make her stay. She talked about how nice the place was. But Ella wouldn't change her mind. By the end of the week, Ella found a small house in Oakville, Virginia. She worked with a real estate person to buy it. The house was simple, 2 bedrooms, an old porch, and a yard full of weeds. But it was hers, and it was a chance to start fresh. The day Ella left the nursing home, she felt scared but excited. James and Lily didn't know about her plan, and she didn't tell them. She didn't think they'd care, and she was done trying to make them happy. She arrived at the house in Oakville with just a few bags. Her heart felt full of hope. The house looked tired, with peeling paint and broken steps. But Ella saw something special in it. She imagined the garden she could grow in the warm light inside. As she stood in the driveway, a voice called out, "Need some help, ma'am?" someone said. Ella turned and saw a young man walking toward her. He had a big smile, and his wife followed with a little girl holding her hand. 2 more kids, a boy and a baby, came behind. Laughing, "I'm Mark," the man said, holding out his hand. "This is my wife, Sophie, and our kids, Emma, Noah, and Ava. Welcome to the neighborhood," he said. Ella shook his hand, smiling a little. "Thank you," she said. "I'm Ella. I guess I'm your new neighbor." The family helped her carry her bags inside. Their kindness surprised Ella. She wasn't used to people helping her like that. Over the next few weeks, the Carter family became her friends. Mark fixed the porch, and Sophie helped Ella clean the kitchen. The kids brought laughter, making the house feel alive. One sunny afternoon, Ella and Sophie planted flowers in the yard. Sophie looked at Ella and smiled. "This place is starting to look like yours, Ella," she said. "You've made it so nice." Ella stopped, wiping dirt from her hands. "I think it's the other way around," she said softly. "This house is making me feel alive again." Ella's days were busy and happy again. She woke up early to work on the house. She painted walls and fixed old furniture. In the evenings, she sat on the porch with tea, watching the Carter kids play. For the first time in years, Ella felt like she belonged. Not because of her family, but because of the new friends she chose. But Ella knew she had more to do. Not just for herself, but to understand the pain she felt. Something she found in the basement would change everything. The basement was cold and a little dark. Ella looked through old boxes, dusty and forgotten. One box caught her eye. It was old, with pretty carvings and a faded ribbon. She felt like it was calling her. When she opened it, she smelled old paper. Inside were letters, their envelopes yellow and delicate. They were addressed to someone named Mary Carter. Ella opened the first letter carefully. The handwriting was neat and curly. "Dear Mother, I'm sorry I haven't written more," it said. "Please forgive me. I think of you every day." Each letter told a story of a daughter named Rose, who had left home. The words were full of sadness and love. Each letter made Ella's heart hurt more. As she read, Ella learned that Rose wanted to come back and say sorry. But in the last letter, Ella's chest felt tight. On the envelope, it said, "Returned to sender, deceased." Ella closed her eyes, her throat tight. Rose waited too long. Mary never got to hear her daughter's words or hug her again. The letters made Ella feel shaky. They were so much like her own story. Had James and Lily gone too far away from her? Not just in miles but in their hearts? What if they, like Rosé, realized their mistake when it was too late? But the letters didn't make Ella give up. They gave her a new idea. She wanted to share her story, just like Rose wanted to share hers. If Rose's words could last so long in a box, maybe Ella's could too. That night, Ella sat at her kitchen table. The letters were spread out in front of her. Her tears had dried, and she felt strong. She opened her notebook and started to write. She wrote for herself, but also for anyone who felt forgotten. The letters weren't just Rose's anymore, they were Ella's too. Ella started writing a book, mixing her story with Rose's. The words came from her heart, full of real feelings. Writing helped Ella feel better. It turned her pain into something important. Her story wasn't just hers or Rose's, it was for everyone who felt left behind. Her book, called Letters Never Sent, was her way to fight back. It showed the world that her story mattered. It showed that every forgotten mom or dad deserved to be heard. When the book came out, Ella didn't expect what happened next. It started small, but soon everyone was talking about it. People all over the country loved her book. They sent Ella letters, sharing their own stories of sadness and making up. It wasn't just a book anymore, it was a way for people to see themselves. It reminded them to reach out before it was too late. Later, the book became a play and then a big movie. Ella became famous, but the money didn't matter to her. The real treasure was the love she got from people. Ella Thompson turned her pain into something amazing. She showed the world that even a broken heart can make something beautiful.